Attention, President Donald Trump. I am Daryl Guberman, and I am warning you of the Boeing Air Force One that was built outside certified standards. Mr. President, my name is Daryl Guberman, and for more than 4 decades, I have dedicated my professional life to the mission to uphold the integrity, safety, and reliability of America's quality certification systems. I come before you today not as a politician, but as a quality assurance professional, a Boeing shareholder, and an investigator and truth-sayer who has witnessed firsthand how powerful corporations have quietly undermined the very principles that keep our nation's products and our defense assets safe, secure, and trusted. I am bringing to your attention a matter that affects not only America's aerospace legacy, but also the very aircraft that one day will carry you or a future president of the United States, Air Force One. The beginning of the collapse, 9/11 and Boeing's reaction. Let me take you back to the aftermath of September 11th, 2001. America was still in shock. The aviation industry was trembling, and just several days after, on September 19, 2001, Boeing publicly announced that it was going to be laying off 20 to 30,000 employees. The company blamed reduced demand and the economic fallouts of the attacks. But that wasn't the full story, Mr. President. In 2002 July, just several months after or later, Boeing issued what it was called a supplier bulletin. The bulletin instructed every Boeing supplier that to continue doing business, they had to be AS9100 certified, the International Aerospace Quality Management Standard. And that certification had to come from the American National Accreditation Board certification body. The single directive reshaped the entire manufacturing landscape. Thousands of suppliers across the country scrambled to get costly certifications at risk of being cut off from Boeing's supply chain. But here's the contradiction, Mr. President. That lies at the center of this decades-long deception. At that time, and for 22 years since, Boeing itself was not AS91 certified. The very company demanding that every supplier prove its quality through a certified standard refused to hold it to the same standard itself. Boeing required others to live by rules it would not follow. The 2002 directive from Boeing created a 2-tier system, one for suppliers forced to obtain and maintain certifications, and another for Boeing, operating outside the certification while sitting in judgment of everyone else. The seat of control, Boeing on ANAB's Management System Accreditation Committee, that they can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification while they themselves were not AS9100 certified. To make matters worse, between 2014 and 24, Boeing held a seat on ANAB's Management System Accreditation Committee, again, the very body that had the power to grant, suspend, and withdraw certifications from registrars. That means Boeing, the company that was supposed to be audited, was sitting on the company that controlled the auditors. This is the equivalent of a defendant sitting on the jury of his own trial. The result was a contamination of trust that spread across every industry: aerospace, defense, automotive, energy, and medical. What propelled my investigation, Mr. President? What first propelled me to take this public and dig deeper was the June 2024 Reuters interview with Miss Elizabeth Lund, the vice president of the Boeing Company Quality. In that interview, she claimed that Boeing would be willing to pursue certification and that its current system was compliant and being audited as it were certified. That statement immediately raised alarms for me because I already had Boeing's July 2002 supplier bulletin, the one that told every supplier to send in your AS9100 certificate as long as it was ANAB accredited and send in your parts. And I also had 10 years of documented web pages from the ANAB Management System Accreditation Committee showing Boeing sitting on that very board that could grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. When I heard Ms. Lund make that claim in June 2024, gave me the key, and I decided to go straight to the source. My personal investigation, Mr. President, out of my own pocket, October 2024. Under my own investigation in October 2024, I personally traveled to Washington State, visiting Boeing's facilities at Everett, Renton, Auburn, and Northfield. I spent almost a month talking to employees, supervisors, and engineers, respectfully and directly. What I discovered was alarming. Not a single employee I spoke with had the knowledge of AS9100 certification or even of internal audits required by that standard. They were operating under a belief that Boeing was certified when it wasn't. That's when I realized the truth. Miss Elizabeth Lund's words, the key and the employees of Boeing were the lock. And when that lock turned, it opened up what I can only describe, Mr. President, as a $254 billion international scam, one of the largest quality and certification frauds ever perpetrated in modern industrial history. The present danger, Air Force One. Now, Mr. President, let's bring this forward to the present. The new Air Force One, known as VC-25B, is being built from two Boeing 747-8 aircraft, originally manufactured in 2015. These airframes were initially produced for a Russian airline that went bankrupt. The U.S. government later purchased them, and Boeing began modifying them into the next generation of presidential aircraft. But here's the truth, and I say this as someone who has spent over 40 years in the field of quality. Those modifications, assemblies, and aerospace integrations are taking place in an environment that is not AS9100 certified. Let that sink in, Mr. President. The most secure aircraft in the world, the flying symbol of the presidency, is being built outside of the international quality standard system Boeing demands of everyone else. The meaning of certification. AS9100 isn't just a piece of paper. It's protection system, a safeguard that ensures traceability, accountability, and reliability of every part, every bolt, every system that goes into an aircraft. Without it, oversight disappears, accountability weakens, and risk, silent, invisible, and deadly, enters the system. A call to action. Mr. President, this isn't a technical issue. It's a national issue. An international issue at that. You have always stood for America first. You have fought to hold corporations accountable and cut through bureaucratic hypocrisy. Now I'm asking you to do what no one else has done, to have the courage to demand that Boeing prove with evidence that its facilities meet the same AS9100 standards it has forced upon its suppliers since 2002. Because this isn't just about a plane, it's about trust. If we can't trust the process that builds the aircraft carrying the President of the United States, how can we trust the same system to protect the lives of men and women who defend our country every day and our citizens? Mr. President, the truth matters. The American people deserve to know that the standards guiding our aerospace future are built on integrity, not influence. As a quality assurance professional who has dedicated his life to this field, I stand ready, not as a critic, but as a solution. The new Air Force One should represent the best of American quality, not a shadow of it. I am the only one that can fix Boeing's issues because the regular players have been tainted. Thank you, Mr. President. I thank you. God bless you. God bless America. And I will say this. As Dwight D. Eisenhower stated, it is not the size of the dog in the fight that counts. It is the size of the fight in the dog. And I will tell you my own mantra personally from Thomas Paine, Common Sense. I love the man who can smile in trouble, who can gather strength from distress and grow brave by reflection. 'Tis the business of little minds to shrink, and he whose heart is firm and conscience approves his conduct shall pursue his principles unto death. My phone number is 203-556-1493. That is 203-556-1493. And the only man who can resurrect Boeing into the quality organization it once was me and is me. And I thank you.